Welcome to our second episode of CCL College Coach Live. Club Champions League is here with Roanoke College men's head soccer coach Ryan Pflugrad and head women's soccer coach Phil Benny. Coach Pflugrad is Roanoke soccer alumni who served as head coach of the men's program since 2013, returning home after serving as assistant at Division I programs University of Denver and Wake Forest. Coach Benny has 27 seasons under his belt with the Maroons women's soccer program and is the winningest women's soccer head coach in the college's history. He's also among the nation's elite, ranked among the top 15 in NCAA Division III for victories among active coaches, and top 20 all-time in Division III in career wins. Roanoke College is a small liberal arts college located in Salem, Virginia. The men's and women's programs compete in the Old Dominion Athletic Conference. Guys, thanks for being here, and we'll get started. A first question for you guys. Ryan, if you want to start, what are some soccer-specific things you look for in players you recruit?
I would say thanks for having us, by the way. We appreciate it, and we're excited to be here with you guys at CCL. Soccer-specific things we look for in recruits, I think I'd go to, with our program, technique as a main part, so like ability and comfort on the ball. Along with that, obviously, comes like ability to make decisions on the ball and the speed of play, the speed of decision-making that a player would have. As you move into the college game, at any level and included here in the leagues that we play in, athleticism is certainly a component to that as well. And I would say, for me and for us, it would be, soccer-specific athleticism. So can be defined by change of speed, change of direction, also position-specific athletic properties potentially. But, technique, athleticism, I think, would be two things off the bat that we would look for, from a soccer-specific standpoint. And then, in that's a big piece of the recruiting, but as is, competitiveness and character. So as we go through our recruiting process with any player, we're looking at all of the aspects of the person and player. And so, the complete recruit would check a lot of different boxes there.
Awesome. And Coach Benny?
Yeah, Coach Pflugrad really hit it on the head. And again, thanks for inviting us on your program for tonight. In a nutshell, we're all looking for the best player that we can find. And a lot of that, the technical aspect that Coach Pflugrad had, the athleticism, and we really focus on, the whole person too. We're looking at the character as he spoke of, and obviously we look at the grades too. We feel like if you're focused in your classroom, you're going to be focused on the field and everything else. So, just you put that all together. We're looking for the best player, and we're fortunate that we out of the CCL and the state of Virginia and everything else, we got very good players to go after.
Awesome. So along those same lines, considering the other components that you guys look at when you're determining who is going to be a part of your recruiting class, what can players do academically to make themselves the most attractive student athlete? How, from your experience, should players balance course rigor and GPA? Does it make sense to take a ton of AP classes and suffer a little bit GPA-wise, or take honors classes and have a more consistent GPA? What do you guys, from your experience, think the best route in that regard is?
Yeah, it's funny you asked that. I sat in on in the admissions department, which, whenever a recruit comes on campus, we send them through admissions. And, they would rather see, someone not loading up on the AP and having the GPA suffer. So really a balance between that. So you can keep the GPA high. We do look at, what are other activities out, soccer takes up a ton of time, how you do in the classroom and other activities, that you might be all, student government and leadership, outside leadership,
awesome.
Parts of your resume.
Yeah, I guess just to add to that, the admissions departments make a lot of those decisions, obviously more so than we do in terms of how they evaluate the transcript and like Coach Benny said, and how they evaluate the transcript and the admissions potential of a student. But I definitely think students that are academically competitive specifically here, it can be important. So just if you can see that, progression maybe through high school, or that they're willing to put an effort in, because it's certainly required here at Roanoke College that you put in a strong academic effort, and I think you'll get the most out of it if you're doing that. And I would just add to that like in terms of academics role in our recruitment, a couple points on a GPA can equal a couple $1,000s in a scholarship, and that's not just for here at Division III, but certainly very much here at Division III in terms of the way that the students are packaged. So again, I would encourage any student looking to play in college that to be academically competitive, and that comes down to mostly GPA and test score, and regardless of where you are at any minute, I think that admissions staffs tend to also appreciate growth in academics. So if you had a poor semester early in your high school, it's not to say it's all done, but have you shown that you can grow that GPA or put some time into the test score wherever you like.
Awesome. So staying within the topic of recruiting, how big of a role do your specific team needs play in determining your recruiting class? So should players focus on schools that only are in need of their position? If you have 3 goalkeepers, is it going to be hard for you to recruit a goalkeeper, even if on another year he might make it? How big of a role do those kind of team things play in determining your class?
I would say it's a balance for us. It's not one or the other in terms of strictly recruiting by position versus like trying to find the best players available and put a team together. We certainly can identify positional needs that we have due to graduation, and the one exception, to the rule might be goalkeeping, in terms of like we're pretty specific there, and like in terms of what our needs are given a graduation, or how many we have in the program in a given year. But I think we're thinking about positional needs for certain as we approach a recruiting class, and how we're going to put it together based on players graduating, especially ones that maybe are carrying a ton of minutes in the season prior or in the upcoming season. And then I would also say the versatility is important as well, because if we're able to attract a good player to Roanoke College that we feel can help us, and we've got other players in that same position, versatility for players either in the program or coming in can be important, because we still, could likely find a way to have them help us. And so, I can use the example of, I know, well, even in my coaching career, I've known very talented center midfielders who have played outside back maybe early in their college career, just because of a positional log jam, if you will, with other guys. And one currently playing for the Colorado Rapids that I was fortunate enough to work with at one point, played there early and now has been a central midfielder in MLS for a long time. So I just think that versatility is important, but it's certainly something we think about. And as a player is looking at a school, yes, it is wise to see how they're listed on the roster. But I think more importantly maybe is to talk to the coach and find out how that player has been used, and what maybe their track was throughout their career, to see, like, as they're graduating off, what spots might become available.
Yeah, and I would say, Coach, definitely the goalkeeper is a different position where, if we need a goalkeeper, we're going to get after them. And, at least on our end, in the women's side, we've been graduating 7, 8 players a season, really players all over the field. So we're not really, like Coach said, looking for a specific player. We're looking for all positions, and that second, what he said, just being, if as an incoming player, if you're just can play center back, you pigeonhole yourself. So the more dynamic player you can be, and we can play you like Coach, who's got center back, we can put you up top. So the good players can play a number of positions.
Very true. So from the other angle, what can a player do to best educate him or herself about your program to determine if they are a good fit? If you guys are interested in them, what can they do from the other side to best understand your school and your program, your playing style, if they would fit in or not?
A number of things. I would say that the first and foremost, come watch us play live. Most schools now web stream their matches, but go watch a game live. Then they can get the feel for the fit of the style of play and the level of play. Number one. Number two, we all have camps where you can come spend 2-3 days on campus and get to know the players, get to know the coaches, and really eat in the commons. So you got the camps. Come watch a game, and then really a huge part of really finding out about a program is when we bring someone on campus for their overnight visit, for their official visit, and that's where you can see the culture of the team and the culture of the program, and see if that's a fit also.
Yeah, I don't have a ton to add to that outside of obviously the beginning. The point is a lot of times the website. So if you're starting and trying to narrow down, you can find so much information on the school, and now with videos and video chats and live things, there's just so much you can do to get the information to begin your search and learn about the school. But then post that, I think getting on campus is very important in some fashion, and a good sign of interest, and also a good opportunity for you as a player, the recruit, to really learn more about the school and if it is the right fit for them.
So once a player's determined that he's interested, and from your end you've determined that you're interested in him or her as a recruit, what should players hope to get out of a visit to your school? What questions should they ask to get the most out of it? What are some questions you like to hear? Is it okay for them to ask about scholarship?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that you want to get out of a visit is just gain an understanding for what the experience will be like for you at the college. Now, is that truly possible in a 28, 24, or 48-hour visit? It's tough to know, to look ahead and say this is what it's going to be like. But I think the questions that you want to answer, or want to ask or want to have answered during a visit, should fall in that realm of what will it be like for me here? And then you got to judge that up as a player, or as a young person, to if that's the best fit for you in your experience in a program and at a college. Gaining an understanding of the experience, questions in that realm, I think, would be important. So, it could be from a soccer perspective of understanding, like we've already talked about, what kind of needs might be on the team in terms of positional or in terms of graduating players, what type of culture is within the team. And I think that coaches can give you that information, but even more so, I think the players are going to let you know the real deal if you get to spend time with players and ask them the question about, what is it like here? What are training sessions like? How does the team get on with each other? What are some of the, exciting parts of being part of the program? What are some of the challenges? Those would be questions that I think to ask. And then the finances is a piece for everybody, so I don't think it's a problem to ask. Especially here at the Division III level, there's no athletic scholarship, so the question's not answered specifically by the coaches, but it does give us an understanding of maybe where the family's at if they're asking, and we're holding a conversation just to see the feasibility of between academics, financial need, and any other type of grants, the feasibility of that student being able to come here. So I think it's a topic that can come up, and obviously you want to have your homework done in terms of Division I, II, or III, and what the coach might be able to offer. But I think all of the coaches understand it's a huge factor in the decision and would be willing to talk about it.
Yeah, I'd like to kind of echo on, some of the questions to ask, and Coach Pflugrad touched on it. What's a day like during the traditional season, the fall season? When how many times are you in the weight room during the season? Maybe in another, how's the off season, the non-traditional season, the spring season? How often are you playing? Are you in the weight room again? And try to get a feel for the direction of the program and the intensity of the program in that way. And you touched on scholarships. Coach Pfluger mentioned we don't give scholarships, so that's a huge piece of every family's decision. Obviously, whether it's D1, D2, D3, and we deal with that a lot. And getting back to the grade factor, better students, you get more money at a lot of the private schools, and so definitely get the good grades, and more doors open, and there'll be more financial aid available for you too.
So before a player gets on campus and has the opportunity to discuss some of those things, they spend a ton of time crafting emails, doing recruiting services, making highlight tapes. What do you guys find is the best way to communicate their interest with you? Do you guys look at emails from recruiting services, or do you prefer email or direct email? What's the best way for you guys?
Really, for us, the direct email is the best method for me. We do get the recruiting services, but we don't know how many schools those are going out to, and so if you can craft an email that's pretty specific, addressing to the coach's name, and do a little homework and figure out what the record was in the past season, and why you want to look at it. We have your major, the academics is a fit. So I would say, the email for me is the best, and secondary, pick up the phone. We at Division III can answer the phone and talk to recruits a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the same thing. I mean, direct email is probably the best way to get in touch with us in terms of what we use the most to either garner interest from players or express our interest to begin with, the phone being second, and or maybe the next step after that. But yeah, sending emails, and then just echoing Coach Benny, just being, if your email is more specific, it would be the same thing if I'm sending one to you that says, to a recruit that says, I saw you here, like this about your game. The same thing coming to us might attract our attention a little bit more. That would be like, I had a chance to see you play, or I studied the majors at your college, and I see that you have a program that's interesting to me, or something specific that kind of attaches you to us. And I think that's probably the way that we go about it the most.
Awesome. And so from your experience, and this answer could differ for a men's program and a women's program, but what do you think the biggest transition for players from the club and high school level to the college game is?
I would go with I use the word grind, the season's grind. It's difficult to prepare for your first college season regardless of the level. And, we have players coming from, I believe, to be very, very good, very, very good youth clubs, in the CCL, the guys we recruit out of the CCL, coming from good environments where I think they're developing as players tremendously and increasingly each year at a higher and higher level. But it still is difficult to prepare for that first season of 20 games in about, 2 to 3 months. It's a grind on the players. So the athleticism and the fitness levels when you get to the college level are certainly an upgrade, just by nature of, playing against older players potentially, or more physically mature players. And then just how you're able to deal with that grind of physicality throughout a season, taking care of your body, recovery, in addition to a college curriculum and living away from home and adjusting to a new schedule, all of those things. So, it's essentially a time management and an adjustment period. On the field, I would say it's probably a fitness and athleticism adjustment more so than anything else. And then, off the field, a time management and adjustment period as well. So.
Yeah, and again, I echo what Coach Pfluger had. you get to college, you're on your own. Your studies are on your own. You're jump right into the college game in the fall. So it's you're in a new environment. So there's a lot of pulls on the new athlete, and be able to, as you said, get through a season where not a lot of downtime in those 20 games in that time. So mentally and physically, be able to meet that challenge is huge. And then I think once you get to the game, the physical nature of the game is a little bit tougher, a little bit wide, more. It's just more physical game, and a little more speed of play. Those two aspects in the game itself is much different. You're going to see a lot more body contact and holding the ball and so forth. So yeah, it's definitely a step up. But there's different levels within Division III and Division I, Division II, and a lot of that changes too through the leagues.
Certainly. And so with that in mind, what is the most important thing you would recommend to a player before entering college to give him or herself a head start making that jump? Do any of your players play in a summer league or our CCL Pro 23 league?
Yeah, definitely. We'll send out a workout packet over the summer, and definitely follow that one. Everyone loves those preseason workout, to get you ready for the rigors of the game. So, follow that. We want people playing, as you said, over the summer, so you're not getting your game fitness. Our preseason is pretty short, so we want pretty fit players and game fitness there. And I have a number of players and Coach Flugrad that do play in the Pro 23, which is great. For our local players in the Roanoke Star, has a program in that, and last year we had 2-3 players join in with them, and so playing over the summer and following that workout schedule.
Yeah, again, I think we're going just maybe reiterating points here, but fitness is a big component because, again, short preseason and a tense amount of games that you're thrown right into when you get to college that first year. So, trying to get yourself prepared by playing as much as possible in the summer and developing your fitness levels, your soccer-specific fitness levels. Mentally, going into that first season, preparing yourself for a process. It is a marathon in a way. If you consider it in every single moment, it's going to be a tough grind. Now, you need to be prepared and attentive at all the moments. But over a 4-year career, you may find that something was insignificant within the first week that that you had a problem with when it's all said and done. So I think just understanding that the college experience is a process, and it's one that's tremendous. But I think a lot of times when kids get to us the first time, they're expecting maybe could be instant success. It could be something a little bit different than what they thought. And so I think, again, just that resilience and that stick-to-itiveness is important. Just to reiterate too, the U23 Pro 23 League with CCL has been a fantastic addition for our program as well. I think it's providing both kids that are heading into college, maybe that have started to age out of their club programs, or if they're talented enough to play in those groups, it's an opportunity that I think when I was a youth player, it was harder to find than it is now in terms of competitive, organized training sessions and matches in the summer, and what CCL is providing for the clubs is great. I've got guys both here in Roanoke, but then also at their home clubs that they're able to go back to and play. And I can't count exactly how many will be there this summer, but I imagine it'll be 7 or 8 players this summer, maybe more than that are in rosters for the Pro 23. And as a coach, where we send players away for the summer and we don't have a exact idea of what they're going to be doing, it's great to know that they're in those environments and there's an outlet and an opportunity for them to play. So I think again, as I mentioned, get fit before you come and play as much as possible. And that's a great way to do it.
So along those same lines, from your experience, how do you feel the CCL can give the players an advantage in terms of getting exposure to college coaches having easy access to players, and what it means when you see a player has played in a league like the CCL?
Bill, you on that one, or?
You go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'll say this: like the CCL has been, I would say, downright excellent in terms of their ability from a coach's perspective to provide the situations, the showcases, the matches that help us to recruit. So literally from a recruiting perspective, between the showcases, the organization of the showcases, and then also throughout the league, the way that we can understand the organization of the league, it's been really, really well organized and catered to our ability to see players and evaluate players. And so I think it's appreciated by college coaches. I can speak for myself, certainly. And so from that aspect, I think it's a great organization for players to be in order to be seen. Now, the second step to that, I think, which is also important, is that the environments that sit in each of the clubs. And so as the CCL has developed the top clubs in many of these areas throughout Virginia, Maryland, where the clubs are from, we know the environments that the players are playing in through the coaching directors and the coaching staffs that they have and the missions of the clubs. And so not only can you literally go to a showcase where it will be organized and helpful in your recruitment of student athletes, but you also know that you'll be able to see a level of player, a competitive high level of player in team that you want to recruit from, because certainly we're trying to get the best players possible to come play for us.
Yeah, to piggyback onto that, and I mean the showcases that you guys run in the CCL, it's nice to have all the fields at one spot for the college coaches to get around, and you guys really cater us. So, it's something that is always on our schedule every year. We have, obviously, with the Roanoke Stars, we have a CCL program here, so we get to bring, see some of the other clubs come into town, and we can see them play, right in our backyard. So, and as Coach said, these are the best players in the state for the most part, and both Coach Pflugrad and I in the men's and women's program, I would say probably a third of our rosters are CCL players, and those are some of the best events that we go to. So it's really a big part of our recruiting.
Great. And so I'm not sure if you guys will be able to answer this specifically if it's something you've noticed, but do you tend to see any common traits among players or any differences among players who have grown up in a club system and have stayed with a single club throughout their career versus players who have been on 5-10 different teams throughout their youth career? Do you notice any common traits between those types of players?
That's a tough question. I don't know if I can get that one. Some of the smaller clubs where players have grown up in that club, they don't get the coaching that's available at some of the the bigger clubs, and so they don't get the different styles. They're just imprinted. Maybe played with a certain player played sweeper her whole career or something. So they don't get the different coaching, the different philosophies out of some of the smaller clubs. So if the players that maybe jump around a little bit, maybe get a little more of that. So like I said, it's a tough question, but I'll let Coach Pflugrad finish up.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd have too much more in that, because it's so player for player. I mean, and I can't like make a generalized statement on, certainly I've had players who play for multiple clubs that played for me, and I've had guys that stayed with the same club for, most of their career. So I think like individual stories have their own storylines. I will say that, like, just from a perspective of the college game, I'm just going to use the word resilience again. Like, there is something to be said for, I would say even like all of the guys that I have, I think that they appreciate the experience that they're getting here and they're driven, but it's not perfect at any given moment. There's always like a challenge to try to get better within the system that they're in. And I think the resilience is what they'll look back on after their 4 years, and the stick-to-itiveness. I mean, I'm kind of equating this to, like, there's been an inordinate amount of transferring in college soccer at the Division I level. Having been a coach there prior to taking the job back here at Roanoke as an assistant, I've seen it, and it's like, certainly there's players, again, not broadly stating that every transfer is wrong by any means. There's people that need to find, and we have transfers here that need to find a situation different. But I also do think that there is something to be said for, like being resilient and getting the lessons learned from sticking to a certain goal or task over a year process. So again, not a blanket statement on different clubs or whatever, but I thought where you were going with that question might have been like, do we see differences in the different clubs and types of players that come out? And I do think that that's kind of a unique thing too, that like college programs, I do believe that youth programs have as well. And even in the CCL, there would be some clubs that I would go, if a guy comes out of this one, I know he's going to be technical, both-footed. Like, I doubt he's going to get out of their system if he's been with them for a while without this set of traits or another set, So I think that's something also that we identify.
Very cool. Thank you both for sharing what may have been a difficult question to answer. Changing gears a little bit, you guys are a Division III school. Last episode of CCL College Coach Live, we had William Mary, who was a Division I school. And the restrictions that the NCAA places for each division are a little different. For you guys, what are the NCAA restrictions on contact and follow-up in instances where contact is initiated by an interested high school player?
Yeah, I mean, we can contact early as freshman year, we can make the phone call, but we can bring people on campus junior July of between the actually that's changed. Coach Flugrad. We can bring juniors on campus now also. So. But yeah, we don't have dead periods. We can contact, we can email back and forth at any time. So it's really a little more wide open. We do have restrictions on some of the social media and as far as tweeting and stuff like that with regard to our recruits. But yeah, we're fortunate. We don't have a ton of rules that we really need to follow in that regard.
Yeah. Again, having been come back to Roanoke from some Division I programs, I was thinking, man, there's a lot less hoops we need to jump through in order to recruit at the Division III level. It's like our restrictions are far less than at the Division I level in terms of contact. There are some, but typically speaking, like we can, it's easier for us to get in touch with a player at any point throughout their career within the rules that are set. So, yeah, I think that is a difference. And, again, there's a set of standards in social media and some parts of it, but typically speaking, it's far more relaxed in terms of the restrictions on contacts than it is at the Division I level for Division III.
Great. And so last question for you guys. Playing collegiate soccer is a big commitment, whether it be at the Division I, II, or III level. It's a ton of time, and it takes a lot to balance academics with the extremely rigorous fall season. What are the payoffs from your experience in playing in a team environment like that, playing for a school?
I mean, I can speak to I could speak on this for days. I just really believe in and appreciate the what a student athlete gets out of the athletics experience at a college level. Given all of the things you just mentioned, the amount of time that you put in, the competition with other teams, the camaraderie amongst your group, like all of those things are very, very important. And there's one thing that I always have player evaluations, at the end of each segment of our seasons, at the end of the year, and I talk to my guys and say, hey, one of the questions we asked is like, what are some of your favorite things about the program, and what would you like to see added or changed? And we give them a time to speak at this in these meetings. And one of the things I'm always surprised, not surprised, but like pleased to hear is like the understanding that the answer is, I really like the experience of competing every day. I like the experience of traveling and competing against other schools. It's the day-to-day with my teammates. So, again, as a coach's mind, you're thinking the answer should be, my favorite part is winning games. My favorite part is winning championships, and certainly that makes the experience better. But I think that, when you look back, the people that have been able to participate in college athletics and soccer specifically, you look back on your experience, it's a lot about teammates. It's a lot about facing challenges and those type of things. So I think that the things you get out of it, I think you become very employable as we send our student athletes into the world after college. The competitiveness, the time management, those two things alone, I think, are very, very, the ability to work in teams, those things are very important in a lot of business fields and a lot of job opportunities as well. And we do hear that from people that we talk to in terms of recruiting firms and things like that. And then, like I said, you'll gain the experience of and again, all of that includes soccer development as well. So like you'll become a better soccer player over your career in college, but what you actually take out of it, into your life after college, I think is much more than that.
Yeah, Coach Pflugrad answered that very well. The special bonds that you develop with your teammates. We're actually going to have our alumni matches this weekend. Coach Pflugrad's Friday night. We have our Saturday, and we got 25, 30 players coming back. That they're going to rekindle their experience and enjoy the things that Roanoke gave them in their 4 years. And those bonds are huge as you move on in life. And and he talked about earlier about the resilience of a 4-year season. And there aren't always going to be great days. They're going to be good days. They're going to be down days. But that 4-year process is a journey. And I think the players get so much out of that journey, that 4 years of putting your every ounce of your being into trying to get the team goals, your individual goals, and that just goes out to make a really what we're about at Division III, and most soccer coaches, we want to have everyone have a great experience, whether on the field, off the field, but we want to prepare them to hit the job market and be successful people out in the world. So there's a lot of things we'd love to win, and that, as Coach said, makes the experience a lot better. But that journey, that 4-year journey, is incredible.
Perfect, and thanks for being here with us, Coach Benny and Coach Pflugrad. We really appreciate your insight and your experience with Roanoke College, and for sharing that to us and our CCL community. And thank you to all who tuned in tonight and were listening.
Thanks.